sent to grieve. On their own, on the run, when their lives have only begun. These could be our daughters and our sons. And just like a drum, I can hear their hearts beating. I know my God won't let them be defeated. Every child has a dream to belong and be loved. Boys become kings, girls will be queens, wrapped in your majesty. When we love the least of these, then they will be brave and free. Shout your name.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
And welcome to the King's Report for Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. We're in the 8th year of Cheonggi, the 5th month and 20th day by the heavenly calendar. My name is Tim Elder. I'm sitting in for the second king of Cheonryeguk, Hyungjin Moon. And I'm here now with Greg Knoll, small business owner and entrepreneur. On Wednesday King's Report, we are doing the first hour and a half in Korean. And my wife joined me this morning. And now the second hour and a half from 6:30 to 8, we'll be doing the report in English. So let's start with the weather. Right now it's 69 degrees and cloudy in the Cheonrygung area. We had a line of thunderstorms going through last night, didn't we? Mm-hmm. That was the cold front coming down from the north. So it's going to cool off today compared to the past few days. It's only going up to 82 degrees. We were up about 10 degrees higher than that the last few days. And then it's going to get even cooler tomorrow, 77 tomorrow, Thursday, and then rain and upper 60s on Friday. So this is getting back to the normal temperatures. For the Rima today, I want to go to the prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet upon a prayer of Habakkuk. This is Habakkuk chapter 3 in the Old Testament. A prayer of Habakkuk, the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. God came from Teman, and the Holy One from the Mount Paran. Shelah, Selah. His glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hand, and there was the hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His ways are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan in affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths of the tribes, even thy word, Selah. Thou didst cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice, and lifted up his hands on high. The sun and moon stood still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Thou didst march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heathen in anger. Thou wentest forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou woundest the head out of the house of the wicked by discovering the foundation unto the neck, Selah. Thou didst strike through with the staves the head of the villages. They came out as a whirlwind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses, through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble. When he cometh up unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the fields shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. The Lord is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds' feet, and he will make me to walk upon mine high places, to the chief singer of my stringed instruments. That was Habakkuk 3, verses 1 through 19. Of course, this section of verse 2, in wrath, remember mercy, is one that many people focus on, and I also feel this very much. But here, this prayer is describing God's wrath, but even in God's wrath, he never forgets his mercy, and he has always guided his people towards the eventual goal of universal salvation. Not only for his people, but also, to make everyone his people, to take back all of human beings from Satan after they were taken in the fall. But certainly God is, we are in a time when God is in wrath right now because of the Han mother's betrayal. And the betrayal was done on a cosmic level, and so also there is judgment on a cosmic level. And we can see that happening now in Asia and in our own country, in the United States, and in Europe, and all over the world. And we'll be getting into those specific instances when we go through the news in a few minutes. But really we need to pray, as Habakkuk did, to cry out for God's mercy on this land, and we always need to remember that God is leading us to salvation, and judgment is judgment with love. Judgment is an expression of God's love. Not an expression of his hatred. So although God will experience wrath, but it is not wrath that is based on hatred. It is rather wrath that is based on love, I believe. In fact, I know that. And so it is his eventual goal to bring salvation, to establish Cheonryuk, to establish the kingdom that he originally planned, where God and human beings can be united in love.
Yeah, I was struck by the last few verses of this prayer that even in the midst of tribulation and wrath, we can have an intimacy with God, and that God will guide us every step of the way. So even in the darkest moments, if we have a sincere and humble heart, we can reach out to God, and there can be a deepening of our relationship. And that's really, like you said, ultimately what God is seeking and desiring is a relationship with us that sometimes comes through punishment, sometimes comes through wrath. Wrath is oftentimes a misunderstood word, but it's really God's love for us to correct our deviancy, our separation from Him, and to come back into alignment with His love and with His truth. So it's in one sense, it's a very hopeful time. It's a time where God can be reunited with His children.
Fortunately, Father established all the conditions necessary for Cheonryuk to come. So as you said, it is a hopeful time because we know that Cheonryuk is coming. And that course cannot be turned back. No amount of betrayal or crime can turn that back. And that is what is hopeful, because now the position of the perfected Adam has been established. And also Cain and Abel are united now in unity and are working together. And all that needs to be done now is for the position of the Eve to be established. And that's well on the way to being done as well. But there was this betrayal by the Han Mother on the cosmic level, and so there is judgment that is occurring there, and it's getting worse and will continue to get worse. But it will not be a long period, not hundreds of years, not even decades, but we believe it will be a short period. But eventually it's up to God, and God will, I'm sure, make it as short as possible. But there are things that need to be done in order for Cheonryuk to be finally brought about. So we are going the course of judgment rather than the course of blessing. that we could have gone, but that is already, water under the bridge. So we need to understand what needs to be done now and to survive this period, and so that we can be part of the force that is building Cheonryuk. And that's what we're doing also here, in our congregation. We're doing our best to acclimate ourselves to the culture of Cheonryuk and to the kind of ownership mindset of Cheonryuk, aren't we?
Yeah, I think even in our unification family in years past, we developed a little bit of a socialist kind of system and a hierarchy, through the Korean leaders and Japanese leaders. So I think some of the principles that we're now discovering we need to unlearn some of our past responses and take responsibility.
I often feel that the people that were originally prepared for Father did not join him. That was the Korean Christians, especially the evangelical Korean Christians, especially the Christians in Korea who resisted the Japanese effort to have everyone worship at Shinto shrines during the colonial period. Those were, Father had called those the able type Christians, those who went to jail rather than to worship at Shinto shrines. They did not join him, and Christianity itself failed to join Father in the early days of his public ministry when it began in 1945. And so a different group of people came. And these people, I think, were the people, if you look at the testimonies of many of our early members, you see a common theme that appears again and again. That is that they said that, I was born into this poor country, and Korea was a very, very poor country, one of the poorest countries in the world at that time, in the late 40s, 50s. And so they were sort of very kind of, I say, resentful or sort of resentful of their fate of having been born into such a poor country. And then they come across this man who is saying that Korea is the chosen land, and that people from all over the world will someday be jealous of Korea. And so they sort of say, wow, this is fantastic. I want to be a part of that. Which is not a bad thing, and I mean, any reason that people have for joining the Messiah is good. But the point that I want to make is that these people who eventually joined Father, most of them did not have a foundation in the Bible, did not have a foundation in the messianic expectation. And so they were not able to understand Father's message in the way that Christians would have understood it. People who did have that kind of a background in the Bible. And especially there was from beginning in the 60s, Father began to reach out to Christian denominations, but there was also always a debate among the senior members of our church, which I also heard while I was in Korea. There was a debate as to, are we Christian or are we not? And there were many people who said, no, Christianity has failed. We just leave them behind. They're past tense, and that we are completely different. And I think, unfortunately, they were they were very strong in their influence within our church, and so there was a cutoff from Christianity. Even though the Messiah came on the foundation of Christianity, still there was a cutoff from Christianity. And I think we really saw that influence. I think especially now it comes out where we see that many senior members in Korea did not really understand who Father was, did not really understand what a Messiah was. Even 36 couples did not understand the Father, and did not understand that he was the Word become flesh, that just as Jesus was the Word become flesh. Christians would have understood this. And there were some Christians who joined, of course, but they were not able to really be in a position where they could be the primary force in creating sort of the organizational culture or the theology of our church. They were sort of overwhelmed by people who were coming from a non-Christian background, Buddhist background, Confucianist background, these kinds of people. Reverend Kwok, for example, did not come from a Christian background, I don't believe. Jesuk Lee, I know I worked for him for some time. He came from a Buddhist background, for example. So these people were in the 36 couples. So people like Reverend Johan Lee, he was a minister before he came to the church, but in fact, after Mrs. Kang joined as the first member in South Korea, I believe Reverend Johan Lee was probably the first male member to join in South Korea. And he was a Christian, but he and people like him were never able to really be the dominant force within the 36 couples or within our church. And I think that was really a tragedy that is coming out now. And so I think that is one reason why so many people so many senior members have betrayed Father and have not been able to.
And they accept the Han Mother's heretical teaching.
Right, accept the Han Mother's heretical, ridiculous teaching.
Non-Christian teaching.
Completely non-Christian. And as some scholars pointed out at the recent conference in Antwerp, other indigenous Korean religions have this idea of a male god and female god. So there's no, one scholar I understand pointed out that there's no innovation here. This is something. And that's what the Family Federation has become. It has become a sect of Korean shamanism. It is not even a sect of Father's unificationism. It is a sect of Korean shamanism. So, wow, I don't know how I got there from Habakkuk, but we did.
That was a good thing.
I had something I wanted to say, so I ranted a little bit there. But I hope the Holy Spirit will guide us in understanding His will. Thank you very much. And we'll be back after a short break, and we'll start going through the news in a Tonyuka perspective. See you in a minute.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Welcome back to the King's Report for Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. On the heavenly calendar, we're in the 5th month and the 20th day. Going through the headlines, we have a very terrible situation going on in London. I don't know if it's still going on. There is a 27-story residential tower, apartment block, I guess, that was engulfed in flames. And Drudge has this situation on its left-hand side, top left-hand side. It's already, it's 7 o'clock here, so it's about noon now in London. I wish we could get some updates on this. Headlines are: London Inferno, Hell on Earth, 27-story tower engulfed in flames. Screaming residents build ropes from sheets they were leaning out windows. We'll try to see if we can get some updates on that situation ongoing in London. And then the main headline on Drudge, of course, is the Sessions testimony, Jeff Sessions' testimony, the Attorney General, yesterday in front of the Senate. And it says that Sessions slays the Senate. spy fiction. I watched a little bit of that. Did you get a glimpse of it yesterday?
I read the summary report.
Oh, you read the
where
summary,
He was questioned like 13 times
Yeah.
on the Russian collusion.
Yeah. Same question.
Same question.
13 times, yes.
Wrapped in a different cloth.
Yes. Also on the Drudge, we have a headline, NFL first female player. Let's take a deep breath. A heat wave to scorch California, Death Valley 122 degrees. And then Cosby, I guess the jury is still out there. Cosby waits for fate developing, a jury leaning towards acquittal. No verdict, but lots of questions, struggling over without her knowledge language. All those, we'll see what happens there. Queer punk band plot comeback after sex assault allegations. Crew member bachelor contestant seemed limp in pool. Host laments misinformation, reality TV legal hell. And then will Roseanne revival be pro-Trump? That should be interesting.
What a question.
Comedy Central will bleep out president's name. They're really trying everything, aren't they?
Exposing themselves.
A detained American student medically evacuated from North Korea in coma. We'll be going into that story later on. Study college students trade privacy for pizza. Bodega worker suffers broken jaw after violent avocado attack. Yeah, I have to see.
Instead of tomatoes, they're now doing avocados.
I'm not sure. The headline makes it seem like he was attacked by a giant avocado. Anyway, it's danger. Megyn audience drops 42%. NBC holding crisis meetings. Unprecedented battle for news viewers. Advertisers in hot seat as activists call for boycotts.
Free speech.
And guess what? Daily aspirin. Remember when they told you to take an aspirin every day?
It's not working?
Daily aspirin behind more than 3,000 deaths a year.
Wow.
Now they tell us.
Yeah. Best to stay away from anything synthetic. Anything synthetic.
U.S. Could have twice as many Alzheimer's cases. Heavy French fry eaters, which you are not, I know. Heavy French fry eaters have double the chance of death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's deep fried. Actually, homemade French fries are very healthy and very tasty.
Okay.
You just got to make them at home and bake them. Don't deep fry them.
Oh, bake them and don't deep fry them.
the
I see. Okay, that's the secret. All right. You heard it here.
Clog your arteries.
McAuliffe on move. Clinton redemption 2020.
The Dems really got to give up on Hillary. It's actually good for us.
Yes. Democrat chaos over impeach. We'll get into that too. There's a division within the Democratic Party over whether or not to impeach the president, or whether to, I guess how to impeach. Tempers flare between reporters, Senate staffers over access. Uber director resigns from board. Woman made up sex attack claims against 15 men. Death of human stock investor. Robot-powered restaurant. I guess this stock investing is also going to be done mostly by computers and programs. Robot-powered restaurant. Military training exercises freak out residents. Helicopters buzz treetops. Simulated explosions. Explosions. We'll get into that. We'll see what that is about. Buchanan is asking, are we nearing civil war? Here we go. Chinese man caught with 500 imprisoned cats destined for restaurants.
God.
House of Filth couple guilty of hoarding 107 Yorkies. Signs of past megaquakes show danger, a big one on San Andreas Fault. Massage pros turning to basic power tools. Oxford professor trampled to death by cattle. Shock. Dying woman's naked body dragged down aisle of crowded American plane. There's actually different witnesses are saying different things on that. But anyway, let's
This
leave.
is the year of airline abuse.
Well, I don't know. Has it always been happening? Just that people are reporting it now with their
Good question. It just
cameras?
seems like,
I don't know. Northam wins Dem privacy for VA governor, beating populists backed by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. YouTube star arrested on child porn charges. There we go again. Facebook user faces criminal charges for posting Deadpool movie. Historian accused of selling stolen World War II dog tags from National Archives on eBay. Well, that's not a very good idea, is it? Steal something from the National Archives and then sell it on eBay. Guardian goes tabloid. Time cuts 300. So print news is really having difficulty. Club for Hollywood Republicans locked in disputes. Smoking rate 40% among the nation's less educated people. Claim there's that drug turns pale skin to tan without sun exposure.
Yeah, it's a big deal, right?
What could go wrong with that?
We'll find out later.
We'll find out. Like with the aspirin, years from now they'll tell us, oh, by the way,
Sorry.
it kills you.
Let's have a retraction here.
Student caught shoplifting, claimed studying kleptomania.
He'll get an A in that course.
The excuses never really change, do they?
That's a good one, though.
I think maybe some of us may have used similar types of I'm not, What the good thing about being old is that most of the stuff you did in your youth has now passed the statute of limitations.
Can't take you away.
Bienvenidos a Venezuela. Police assaulting and robbing civilians, journalists, including Breitbart reporter. So we'll get into that too. We read from this guy's report from Venezuela, and we'll get into his most recent filing. Playwright Tony Kushner defends assassination of Trump and Julius Caesar, falsely blames Breitbart for outrage.
Breitbart getting all this free press.
I know, yeah. I mean, so you put on a play about the president being assassinated.
Which is a criminal offense.
Which is a criminal offense. And then somebody writes about it, and then you accuse the guy writing about it for the outrage. The Wire creator David Simon, pick up a GDMAN brick if Trump fires Robert Mueller. This is based on anonymous sources thing, and people are getting excited about it. And that came up yesterday in the Sessions testimony as well. Report: 3 members of special counsel Mueller's team donated Dems, including Hillary and Obama. Echo chamber: senators asked Sessions same question about Russians 12 times.
Yeah.
Echo chamber. You could tell that Sessions, he was in the Senate until a couple of months ago. He knows what's going on.
20 years.
He knows what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
He knows that each senator has to create little video clips that they can show in their reelection. That they were tough. So they have to ask the same question.
Right.
If they say, the guy before me asked that question, so I'm not going to ask it now, then what are they going to tell their constituents?
What are they going to talk about?
Yeah, what are they going to talk about? So just giving
it's all about re-election.
Keep giving the same answer. That's how the Senate operates. NBC moving ahead with Megyn Kelly Alex Jones interview despite backlash. Woman accused of slitting vet boyfriend's throat for being a jerk. Rubio pushes left-wing conspiracy about Trump advancing Russian interests. A store owner fights back, fatally shoots 2 robbery suspects, wounds a third. Time Inc. cuts 300 jobs amid falling circulation. Trump mocks resist Democrats at Obamacare meeting. Sessions absolutely false. He communicated with Russians about as Trump surrogate. Senator Cotton: Sessions colluding with Russians, a ridiculous plot line and spy novel. Democratic Senator Heinrich accuses Sessions of impeding Russia probe. AG Sessions to Dem Senator Harris: I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
I'm not sure what that means.
Well, she was. I was watching it yesterday when she was questioning him, and she was using a kind of a prosecutor's tactic, where you sort of pepper questions at the witness and sort of make them nervous by pressuring them to answer more quickly. Don't give them time to think. This kind of a tactic. And so Sessions pushed back at one point and says, hey, don't rush me. It makes me feel nervous. Anyway, so apparently that also grabs a headline. some people were advising Sessions not to testify because it would be very dangerous for him and things. But I'm not a lawyer, but it seemed to me that he acquitted himself pretty well in front of the committee yesterday.
Yeah, you do more harm if you don't testify a lot of times than people can speculate what you're trying to hide.
Right. But one thing he did do was people were asking him, what did you discuss with the president about this, that, the other? And those questions, those types of questions, he consistently refused to answer, saying that my communication with the president is confidential.
It's classified.
Yeah, it's classified. When they were saying, well, he didn't say it was classified. He just says confidential. And he said, and they were saying, well, what's the legal basis for that? Are you claiming executive privilege? And he said, no, only the president can claim executive privilege. So I have no authority to claim executive privilege. So that's not what I'm doing. But I'm sort of respecting the president's constitutional right to claim executive privilege later on if he chooses to. And the Democrats then sort of latched onto this, and so kept asking him these kinds of questions to pressure him on that, to make him sort of bring this up,
Like he's
refuse,
hiding
like he's hiding something. For example, they asked him, "Well, did you discuss Comey's firing with the president?" And he refused to answer, saying, based on the confidentiality of his conversations with the president. And then I think CNN or MSNBC then later came out and said this was a novel legal theory, but of course it's not. And as Sessions pointed out, other cabinet members do the same thing when they testify in front of various committees in the Senate. And it's not just the current administration. This goes back. The Trump administration, the Clinton administration, the Bush administration. This is a kind of a thing that has been going on for years. But these Democratic senators, because they know they're in front of cameras and they assume that the American electorate is ignorant of these past events, kept pressuring him and making it appear as though he's hiding something. And then one of the senators, as it says here in one of the headlines, Heinrich accused Sessions of impeding the Russia probe, saying that by not answering these questions, you are impeding the Russia probe.
Is there some kind of psychological disorder where a person, like the Trump haters, they are not able to recognize anything good coming out of the Trump administration, where they only every single action, because you see this in life too, not just toward the president, but certain people develop such a hatred toward another individual that they can never see anything good that is coming from them. They can only interpret everything they do as being bad. I'm just wondering if there's some kind of psychological
there may be.
there.
I confess that I once hated a man for 20 years. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I once hated a man for 20 years. I felt that he had done me wrong and that it was an unforgivable thing that he did.
And you're not able to see anything that he did as
During that time, no.
during that 20 years.
During that 20-year period, right. Everything that he did was wrong.
So what's your analysis now after, have you let that go?
With me, what finally happened was that I was sitting in Chongpyeong in the large dining area there, sitting by myself, minding my own business, eating. For 20 years, I really felt, just wait, God, just give me 5 minutes with this man in a dark alley. I really wanted to do him harm. And I was sitting there eating lunch or dinner or something, and all of a sudden this guy sits down in front of me. And I'm thinking, God, I said dark alley, didn't I? This isn't a dark alley. This is, there are hundreds of people around me, and it's not even dark, and I can't even reach across the table. This is not the deal that I asked for. But he sat down in front of me, and he sort of gave me this sheepish grin that was not an apology, but he knew what he did. He knew what he did. And but it was kind of and he was a senior leader, by the way, in our church, and we all know his name. And it was I don't know. the hatred disappeared. It was very unfair. That's not
You
the.
didn't get your revenge.
I didn't get my revenge, you know. But now I can't hate him. He's in spirit world now. He went to spirit world not too long ago as a betrayer. But yeah, God arranged that.
Interesting.
Very unfair.
And there was no words really exchanged.
There was no. Well, you know, he said, you know, I think, you know, we said hello or something like that. I don't remember. I don't think we talked. You know, there was no one else around. I think we just exchanged pleasantries or something like that. There was no meaningful exchange.
Yeah.
We did not discuss the situation that had led to this. But just somehow in that moment, the hatred melted away.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
it's a face-to-face encounter.
Yeah,
helped,
yeah,
move it along.
yeah. In that, maybe it was the spiritual atmosphere. I don't know. You know, where Father at that time had you know, supervision and control over Cheongpyeong, and maybe it was the spiritual atmosphere. Maybe Father was present there. I don't know. But you know, so what's going to happen with the Democrats? I don't know.
Yeah.
If they go to Cheongpyeong, not Cheongpyeong. I mean, if they come to Newfoundland, all right. Maybe if Chuck Schumer and Donald Trump come to Newfoundland and sit together here in this or at Cheonryugung, you know, Father did say that he would like to have.
Cheongpyeong's all over, right?
Well, Father did say that he wanted to have the leaders of Russia, China, Japan, and the U.S. Come to Hannam-dong. This was before he moved to the Cheonjeong Palace,
Oh, okay.
and he wanted to bring those people together in Hannam-dong.
Okay.
And maybe that was something involving there.
Just
you
by
know?
being together.
Just
in a
by being
holy
together
place, in a holy place.
in a holy place, centering on Father.
Yeah.
Maybe the hatred could disappear. I don't know.
Or maybe the power of prayer can help heal
Maybe,
some of
yeah,
these rifts
yeah.
that are happening.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll start going to specific stories right after this.
At break of day, in hope we rise. We speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise. We speak your name.
Welcome back to the King's Report for Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. And I'm Tim Elder, sitting in for the second King of Cheonryugung, Hyung Ji-moon, and I'm looking at a live stream from London right now, where the West London Grenfell Tower is on fire. It's a 27-story apartment block, and it's on fire. And this is a live stream that I'm looking at now, and I can see flames there at the bottom of the screen. Rather large flame coming out of one of the windows, and a lot of smoke coming out of the building. This has already been going on for quite a few hours. I'm surprised to see that they have not yet been able to put this out. anyway, that's an ongoing situation, and I'll be very interested to hear what the cause of this fire was. I'm sure they'll be investigating that. Anyway, we'll get back to that later on.
It's interesting. They
if
build these
necessary.
structures with very non-flammable components.
Mhm.
So it's interesting. There's such a big fire.
But you know what?
Hmm.
It's not collapsing.
Wonder why.
Wonder why. A building is on fire, and it's not collapsing. Anyway,
Now, Alex Jones interview is coming up.
and it's not just that planes, not just because planes didn't crash into it, because World Trade Center 7, no plane crashed into it, but it collapsed as a result of office fires, according to the official report.
In a vertical format.
In a vertical format,
a demolition format.
as if it were demolished.
As if it were.
As if. And here we have a 27, it's a much smaller building, of course, but still 27-story building that is on fire. It's been burning for many hours. And we just saw it's still standing. Anyway, we'll see what that is about. Let's read this story from the Breitbart reporter who has gone to Venezuela to this to see what has happened to the workers' paradise there. Caracas, Venezuela. Waiting to check in for my flight at Caracas Airport on Wednesday, security services stopped me, demanding a full search of my belongings. So now he's been there, and we read his report from Caracas yesterday after arriving there and sort of going around town, and now he's on his way out. Scowling underweight policeman speaking barely intelligible Spanish took me into a private room at the back of the airport. And they asked him a question there in Spanish, which I cannot read because I don't know Spanish. They asked us, slurring together the words for, "What are you doing here?" They rummaged through my luggage as I claimed to be a curious Spanish student interested in the country's situation. "What is that?" they asked, pulling out my camera. They demanded to see my photos. Many were images highlighting the extreme poverty across Caracas, piles of garbage lining the city, graffiti exclaiming, "I'm hungry," defaced images of dictator Nicolas Maduro. The officials confiscated my camera, claiming they needed to examine it and the process could take up to 2 hours, despite my flight leaving within an hour. I would never see the camera again. Initially, it was easy to dismiss the confiscation as a precaution against a rogue journalist exposing the true devastation socialism has wrought in Venezuela. But look at recent reports in Venezuela. Breitbart has a pattern of not doing very well in their editing. I've noticed. But a look at the recent reports in Venezuela suggests these confiscations, outright thefts of valuables by officers of the law, are not uncommon. And while I can afford another camera, the Venezuelan civilians most often experiencing this crime are struggling to survive amidst the country's political and economic chaos, economic crisis. The truth is that the soldiers are struggling to survive too, resorting to stealing from anyone they apprehend who happens to carry a valuable. Lower-ranking soldiers, Venezuelans told me, earn a minimum wage $43 a month, while forced to use their authority to silence political dissidents. Thefts have become so common that this week the country's defense minister, Vladimir Padrino Lopez, warned armed forces against excessive force, saying he did not want to see one more National Guardsman committing an atrocity on the street. Okay,
Mild force is okay.
I'm sorry, I was noticing that the defense minister's name is Vladimir. But anyway, he had not issued such a warning after months of brutal violence documented by his soldiers against the protesters. What it did follow was a broad accusation by opposition leaders that security forces stole possessions from protesters and journalists, such as motorcycles, cameras, and even shoes, during a demonstration that took place last week. Opposition Assembly member Jose Manuel Olivares accused the police and the National Guard of stealing at least 10 items, including from a young boy selling bottles of water on the street, while another man contended police hit him and took off his shoes. Soldiers stealing and assaulting civilians that they should be protecting, Olivares tweeted on Monday. Don't be the shame of armed forces by following orders from superiors. You can't even describe what is happening outside of La Carlota. There are reports of the military stealing motorcycles, cameras, mobile phones, and even shoes, tweeted journalist Daniel Blanco. The National Guard does not just repress, it now steals. These people aren't officials, they are criminals. Phase 3 of the Zamora Plan, a reference to Hugo Chavez land distribution reforms, where landowners had their property seized by the government. While the brazenness of these recent thefts is new, soldiers have been exploiting their power to make ends meet for months, because they have a monopoly of force, right? They have a monopoly of deadly force.
Yep.
A report from the Associated Press in January found that Venezuelan military had seized full control of all food coming in and out of the country and are reselling stolen products at astronomical markups. The report also found authorities regularly demanded bribes from food importers and truck drivers, thus hiking the prices of food products for ordinary Venezuelans. According to the recent statistics, a majority of Venezuelans now go to bed hungry, while 15% of people eat garbage just to survive.
Right in our own.
And this, the country that has, yesterday's article said the largest oil reserves in the world. I have to confirm that. But anyway, it has very large oil reserves, and it's an oil exporting country. And in fact, they're actually blaming this whole situation on the decline in oil prices rather than the system. And even the opposition, according to the yesterday's report from this same reporter, even the opposition is socialist. And so there's very little opinion or pressure going on saying that, oh, we have to maybe adopt something other than socialism.
Revamp the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, they're just saying, oh, we just need new leaders. You know, I used to, when I was in college, I studied communism. I studied especially Chinese Maoism and sort of Marxism, and I also took a class in Marxism and read some parts of Das Kapital. And I think at the time also I was sort of in this trap where I was feeling, okay, well, communism is a good system, but it just has bad leaders. So if you have good people in that system, it's going to work very well. But it takes, I guess, some time for people to realize that, no, communism is a bad system. That even if you have good people in there, it's still a bad system, and that it's going to produce bad results. Of course, it's a denial of God, and without God, you cannot have human rights. And so denial of God means no human rights eventually. And just the whole top-down sort of dictatorship. So they talk about, dictatorship of the proletariat. So it's just a dictatorship, but they're just saying we're going to replace the capitalist class with another class, with what they think of as the holy or the sort of sinless class, the proletariat, because the proletariat is a group of good people with good intentions, and the proletariat will always bring about the ideal society.
It's kind of naive, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
to think that a proletariat would all of a sudden transform into this idyllic kind of good man.
I don't know if I don't think that naive is the proper way to describe a Marx or Lenin or Stalin. I think these were really sort of power-hungry people.
But students who believe in that,
students who believe in that, yes,
I think is
it was naive.
Yeah.
And I was naive. I was naive, certainly, and many students are naive, and many people are not able to get out of that naivete and understand that communism, socialism will always lead to poverty, that it will make everyone poor. And this is what happened in the Soviet Union, right? When there was this one class that they called the nomenklatura in the Soviet Union that had their own special department stores where they could shop. In North Korea today, we see that there are certain stores that only people in the ruling elite can go into and purchase things there, and most of the country is enslaved.
One thing I've learned the last few years from the king and Kukchinim is that wherever there's a concentration of power is where the archangel or Satan, demonic forces exist. Where there's collusion, where there's a concentration of people collecting power, then It's people get possessed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's really a demonic possession. It is the battle between good and evil. It's
Yes, it
between
is.
God and Satan, and it's not just whether it's the good nature of man or not.
Right.
So decentralization is where people can really rise up and become
yes.
the sons and daughters of God, and the concentration of power is where the demons exist and where Satan himself has power and influence.
Now, China has tried to solve this problem without getting rid of communism, the fundamental Marxism and Maoism. That is, they say, okay, we will maintain, politically, we'll maintain communism and the dictatorship of the Communist Party, but economically, we will bring in a lot of the aspects of capitalism, and we will allow people to become rich. We want, if people become rich, we will not confiscate their wealth, as long as they maintain loyal to the Communist Party.
Right.
And now they go around saying one of their claims to fame right now is that, we've lifted so many hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. And so now they're using this as a justification for their system, saying that, yes, we are a one-party dictatorship, but look what we've done. We've lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. And this is good for China. But a few days ago, we read where in one Chinese city, the police demolished a Christian church and dragged the people who were worshiping in the church out into the street. And then we see that we've reported many times. The King has reported many times on the whole issue of organ harvesting from dissidents and from Falun Gong members and from underground Christians. And where sometimes actually the harvesting of the organs is the form of capital punishment, where they kill someone by harvesting their organs, by extracting their liver or extracting their kidneys or whatever.
Big business.
Big business, and it, I don't want to say kills two birds. No, let's not go there, but because they are killing people, and it is a business that is based on killing people. You can actually go there to China and order a liver and say, we can have it for you in a week. We'll have 2 or 3 standing by just in case one doesn't work. This kind of a thing. It's just really a horrific thing that is going on.
And even wealth can be confiscated.
And
In a system like China has, you might be experiencing the free market, you may be becoming a millionaire, but there's really no security that wealth is going to remain in your hands.
As people have found out, as rich people have found out, that if someone gets too powerful as a result of their wealth, then they get to haul before a court for various charges of corruption, and they get executed.
Yep.
They have been, and the rich people have been executed in China under the cause of anti-corruption or whatever. And so China, even though it has become certainly far more prosperous than it was, say, 40, 50 years ago, it is still a very horrific dictatorship.
Tightly controlled,
And now the elitists in the world want to uphold China as a kind of a model for the kind of society that others should aspire to.
Again, the ends justifies the means in communist ideologies. So to allow capitalism in is within that ideology's strategy.
As long as the Communist Party is allowed to maintain its dictatorship, and no forces that might challenge the Communist Party are allowed to rise up, including religion.
Yeah.
And we have to pray for the victory of God's will in China. Right, so that was the report from Venezuela, and this collapsing and failing country in Central America. We'll take a break now and come back with more news from a Choniku perspective after this.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology, it's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Carr Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood, the history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun, to the best in compact concealed carry, Carr Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Carr Firearms Group. Made in the USA. Visit carr.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Welcome back to the King's Report for Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. We're in the 5th month and 20th day by the heavenly calendar during this 8th year of Chungi. Let's go to the top story of the day, Sessions' testimony on the Hill yesterday. Sessions calls a suggestion he colluded with Russia a detestable lie. The Attorney General also refused to answer questions about his conversations with Trump. Attorney General Jeff Sessions forcefully defended his integrity on Tuesday, testifying that any suggestion he colluded with Russian officials to affect the 2016 election was a detestable lie, even as he repeatedly refused to answer questions about his conversations with President Donald Trump. Sessions provided several fresh insights into his role in the Russia controversy engulfing the Trump administration, revealing that he has avoided internal Department of Justice conversations about the FBI's Russia probe since he was sworn in, that he's never been briefed on Russia's alleged campaign to affect the U.S. presidential race, and that he never warned FBI Director James Comey that his job was on the line before he was abruptly fired by Trump last month. The Attorney General, former Alabama Senator and former Trump campaign advisor, also insisted he did not recall having a third undisclosed meeting with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak, as multiple reports citing information gathered by U.S. intelligence have alleged. But Sessions' testimony was far from an exoneration of the president's conduct, as the Attorney General confirmed that Comey had voiced concerns to him that the president had initiated improper one-on-one contacts. I was watching the much of the session yesterday, and I wouldn't characterize it the way that this article is. Comey said that he was uncomfortable. You know, there was a meeting in the Oval Office with Comey and Sessions and a couple other people, and at one point the president asked everyone else to leave and Comey to stay behind. And then, according to Sessions, either the next morning or the morning after that, Comey said that he had felt uncomfortable being left alone with the president. But to say that to paraphrase that as saying that he voiced concerns that the president had initiated improper one-on-one contacts, I think is a jump. And Sessions at one point said, you know, the rules in the Justice Department say that if a president, not just Trump, but if any president tries to initiate an improper conversation, and there is such a thing, then it is the responsibility of the Justice Department employee to say, wait, Mr. President, I cannot talk about that. Sessions made that point, that in general that is the policy. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't clear that this had happened with Comey. So, so anyway, this is the political article. Some of the hearing's most memorable moments came as Sessions repeatedly and at times emotionally lashed out at allegations that he and other Trump campaign advisors might have worked with Russian leaders to try to tip the election Trump's way. The suggestion that I participated in any collusion or that I was aware of any collusion with the Russian government to hurt this country, which I have served with honor for over 35 years, or to undermine the integrity of our democratic process, is an appalling and detestable lie, Sessions told the Senate Intelligence Committee. Sessions also pushed back against the idea that he had more meetings with Kislyak after having been forced to clarify remarks from his confirmation hearing in January that he did not have communications with Russian officials during the campaign. 2 previous meetings with Kislyak were surfaced earlier this year, but Sessions said on Tuesday he doesn't remember any further encounters, including an allegation he met with Kislyak in April 2016 at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, which hosted a foreign policy speech by Trump. And here, which one was it? One of the Republican senators was asking him about this. He asking him, "Or did you have a room in the Mayflower Hotel that day where you were having sort of one-on-one meetings?" And Sessions said no, that that there was a VIP reception, I guess, where he said a couple dozen, maybe 3 dozen people attended, and I guess Kislyak was there as the Russian ambassador, and he said also another country's ambassador was there, and that country had invested some money in Alabama, and so he remembers talking with that ambassador for some time, because there was this relationship that this ambassador's country was investing in his state. Anyway, so that he did recall, but not this other one. "I did not have any private meetings, nor do I recall any conversations with any Russian officials at the Mayflower Hotel," Sessions said. He later elaborated that a brief interaction with Kislyak may have occurred, noting that I may have had an encounter during the reception, but that would have been the extent of any communication. Sessions took his uncomfortable turn in the same seat occupied by Comey 5 days before, as the former FBI director pointedly accused Trump of lying about his dismissal. Sessions has found himself at the center of the Russian controversy in recent days, particularly after Comey testified that he had asked Sessions to intervene after Trump initiated a series of contacts about the Russia probe that the FBI director viewed as improper. Comey also suggested Sessions realized something inappropriate was afoot when Trump asked Comey to stay behind at an Oval Office meeting in February while dismissing Sessions and others from the room. "My sense was the Attorney General knew he shouldn't be leaving, which is why he was lingering," Comey testified. But Sessions said that no, that was not the case, and that presidents have one-on-one meetings with head of the FBI, and that's nothing new, and that's not inappropriate, and it happens quite often. So Sessions said that Comey was not representing the facts on the ground, or something to that effect there. Of course, this Russia probe thing has been basically Comey demolished the whole narrative, and Sessions has done it again. And I guess we'll have to see how many times this dead horse needs to be killed before it finally dies.
Right. I mean, it's a story based on nothing.
It's a story based on nothing. Well, yeah. But the Democrats have nothing else to talk about. It's not as if they had some kind of
They have to
policy
find something
proposals.
that's enough grounds to start this impeachment. They're
Either
struggling.
that-
They're struggling to find that.
Either that, or they have to acknowledge that the American people rejected their candidate,
Right.
Hillary Clinton.
Right.
And of course, that can never. Senator Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas, comically mocked the allegations that Attorney General Jeff Sessions colluded with the Russians during a campaign event at the Mayflower Hotel in Washington during a campaign event last April. "Mr. Sessions, are you familiar with what spies call tradecraft?" Cotton asked, prompting the Attorney General to warily reply, "A little bit." Where is this going? You're supposed to be on my side. You're a Republican. That involves things like covert communications and dead drops and brush passes, right? Do you like spy fiction? Do you like Jason Bourne or James Bond movies? Cotton continued before slamming the probe. Have you ever in any of these fantastical situations heard a plot line so ridiculous that a sitting United States senator and an ambassador of a foreign government colluded at an open setting with hundreds of people to pull off the greatest caper in the history of espionage, he asked, prompting Sessions to laugh for the first time during the Senate Intelligence Committee hearing. "Thank you for saying that, Senator Cotton. It's just like through the looking glass. I mean, what is this? I explained how in good faith I said I had not met with the Russians because they were suggesting I was a surrogate. As a surrogate, had been meeting continuously with the Russians. I didn't meet them," he said. So anyway, some people are able to have fun during these ridiculous,
That's a good thing. Yeah.
ridiculous meetings.
You're guilty now if you're in a room full of people. You're now considered having a meeting with them if they're in the same room at a convention. So be careful.
I really enjoyed Putin's interview with Megyn. What's her name? Megyn
Kelly.
Kelly, yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, "Have you all lost your mind?"
He's a straight shooter.
He is, and she was obviously unprepared as a journalist. She was obviously unprepared for that interview.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't have experience in interviewing foreign heads of state, but you have to do a lot more preparation than that before you interview a person of that level.
Yeah.
So asking him, well, for example, well, have you asked your ambassador to the United States this, that, or the other? And he says, come on, I mean, he's not even my immediate subordinate. He reports to the foreign minister, and if there's anything the foreign minister thinks is worthy of my attention, then he brings it my attention. No, I don't talk to every ambassador in the world every day. So,
The look on Putin's face is priceless.
I think he's getting a little bit irritated, being the whipping boy of American politics day after day like this.
It's embarrassing, actually. It's becoming a national embarrassment. The Democrats are becoming a national embarrassment, actually an international embarrassment.
How much longer do you think it's going to go on? And now, I guess they're going to demand that Trump instruct Sessions to answer all these questions. So what's going to put it to rest? I mean, Mueller now is hiring people. He's hiring Democratic lawyers to go into this.
Yeah, who've donated to Hillary's campaign.
Right.
This is a problem. So if Trump seeks to fire Mueller, he's really going to create a lot of fuel. He's got to be careful how he deals with this.
And we've heard stories that he's upset with Sessions for recusing himself from the whole Russia situation. I think he would have wanted Sessions to handle this
And why
himself.
exactly did he recuse?
Because he explained this yesterday that he met with some ethics lawyers in the Justice Department, and he realized that if they were going to look into the Republican campaign, then he could possibly be a target of that kind of an investigation. And so he said from the first day, he purposely chose not to involve himself in any matters having to do with the Russia investigation or anything like that. And it wasn't actually until May that he recused himself, but even before that, he was not involving himself at all. And I think it's because, he was a man of principle. Of course, sometimes a person can be a man, can follow the principle to a fault. And that may be what Sessions has done, and that may be, if Trump is irritated with him, that may be the reason that he's irritated with him. Let's go to a break now, and we'll come back with more news from a Chonical perspective in a minute or so.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Car Arms, Magnum Research, and Auto Ordnance. The Car Firearms Group. With a diverse product line that blends American craftsmanship with cutting-edge technology. It's no secret why gun enthusiasts choose Car Firearms Group. From the Desert Eagle and Baby Desert Eagle made famous by Hollywood. The history of the 1911 and the Tommy gun. To the best in compact concealed carry. Car Firearms Group is not only the first name in personal defense, it's a name that has earned the respect of gun enthusiasts around the world. Concealment, innovative technology, value, accuracy, and history. Car Firearms Group. made in the USA. Visit car.com today.
At break of day, in hope we rise, we speak your name.
Welcome back to the King's Report for Wednesday, June 14th, 2017. I was just getting started, and I realized we only have 15 minutes or so left. So we'll just take this up to 8 o'clock, try to get in as many stories as we can. I wanted to do this one story is about the Democrats battling with each other on how to proceed with their goal of impeaching or removing the president. The weekly meeting of the House Democrats on Tuesday erupted over stark disagreements about how the party should fight President Trump. Representative Michael Capuano, Democrat of Massachusetts, a leadership ally, stood during the Democrats' closed-door caucus meeting to denounce Representative Brad Sherman's from California impeachment push as a selfish maneuver that could hurt fellow Democrats and candidates at home, according to a source in the room. There must be quote, a discussion within the caucus, in other words, among Democrats, in a public forum before we do something that would position our colleagues or our future colleagues, Capuano said, according to the source. Quote, emotions are high. These issues have political implications and government ones, unquote. Representative Steny Hoyer, the minority whip, also took issue with Sherman's tactics on Tuesday after the meeting. Quote, we believe strongly that a discussion about impeachment is not timely, he said. Sherman told the Hill that he spoke with Capuano afterwards to emphasize that he wasn't moving forward with a floor vote on impeachment without input from Democratic leaders and colleagues. Quote, I said, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm not doing anything until I consult with colleagues in leadership, unquote, Sherman said. Sherman expects to formally introduce his article of impeachment against Trump either later this week or next.
Based on what?
He then wants to give the GOP-controlled House Judiciary Committee time to decide how to respond. I think the Republican leadership is entitled to a few weeks to decide what to do with this article, he said. Sherman's resolution has virtually no chance while Republicans control the House. Sherman said that if he does move forward with forcing a floor vote using a procedure that allows any member to offer a privileged resolution, it likely wouldn't be until after the August recess. Sherman's article of impeachment against the president accuses Trump of obstructing justice when he fired FBI Director James Comey last month. Comey had been leading including so it was firing of Comey that he's being and so obstructing justice. Last week, Comey delivered it, and we know about that. Sherman, an 11-term Democrat. Okay, we know about that. Representative Al Green, a Democrat of Texas, has also sounded the impeachment horn. And on Monday, after reports emerged that Trump might fire Robert Mueller, the special counsel investigating Russia's interference in the election, Green said Trump continues to validate the reasons why he should be impeached. Even though that story was based on an anonymous source and has not been confirmed, still, who cares about the facts? When dealing with Mr. Mueller, it is an insult to even consider terminating him as special counsel and will be obstruction of justice if it's done, Green said in a statement. But Democratic leaders and their allies have been incensed by the move toward impeachment, arguing that the facts don't sufficiently support such a weighty tactic yet, and warning that lawmakers should await more details in the ongoing investigations before launching such an aggressive attack. See, this is, what the Democrats, this happens in revolutions. Mm-hmm. There are some people who want to race forward, and there are other people who realize that you got to bring the masses with you. Mm-hmm. And so racing forward in communism is called adventurism. And in places like China and Russia, they execute leaders for this because it's just as bad as being a counter-revolutionary. Counter-revolutionary is someone who tries to slow down the revolution. An adventurist is someone who tries to speed it up too fast. Either way, the revolution fails, and one is just as bad as the other, according to communist ideology. And so now these guys that are calling for impeachment, they're adventurists. And the leaders are saying, whoa, wait a second, we got to bring the masses with us. Don't go. They say, well, let's get the facts first. What they're worried about is the masses, and they want to because they're afraid of going too far, too fast, and then causing a backlash. Because next year, especially in the Senate, the Democrats have a difficult situation
Yeah.
where they have to defend 25 seats next year, and the Republicans only 8, and so they stand a good chance of losing more seats to the Republicans, especially since I think about 10 of those seats are in states that were won by Trump in the presidential election. And so they're careful about calling for impeachment. But they want to, of course, either impeach or use the 25th Amendment to remove him for psychological reasons, saying that he's crazy and he's incapable. And of course, that tactic of accusing your political opponents of a mental illness is one that was used very liberally in Nazi Germany and in Soviet Union. Which again confirms that these are leftist, left-wing fascists that we're dealing with.
It's also a dividing of the Democratic Party, I would imagine, God's side and Satan's side.
Well, we'll see. The Democratic leadership is going to try hard to keep control of this situation, try to sort of keep their fanatics, or you might say, they're sort of people who are trying to go too fast under control. God's side and Satan's side, I don't know about that.
Yeah, the Cain and Abel, the dividing. The king's been talking about within the Cain world, there's a separation of good and evil. So maybe this is polarizing the Democratic Party in such a way where the good people within the Democratic Party are saying, "Hey, wait a minute, this is not impeachment is not."
But the people but the leadership, even though they're arguing against impeachment, they still want to remove Trump. But they still
Right.
want to fight Trump in every way they
Right.
can, and they don't see any good in Trump.
Right.
They're not working with him. They're not cooperating with him. So I don't know if there's a dividing between good and evil yet. I think it's just the leadership trying to keep control of their.
What's
of their
the best
fanatics.
strategy? Yeah.
The best strategy for fighting Trump. So that's interesting. We'll have to see what goes with that. Here, both apparently Terry McAuliffe, 2020. Terry McAuliffe, of course, former Virginia, or is he still Virginia governor, or former Clinton ally, or
Yeah, used to be a
he's
Clinton
still
advisor.
he's still Virginia governor. Yeah, he was a strong Clinton person. A recent poll finding that 45% of Democrats long for a new national leader. They're getting tired of Hillary and Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah. Maxine Walters.
Maxine Walters, yes,
She would be great.
Yes. Is it maybe the other 55%
maybe,
men want Maxine?
Maybe a race between Trump and Walters would be the most exciting presidential race ever in human history.
So this is the Washington Examiner, with a recent poll finding that 45% of Democrats long for a new national leader. Could Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe be the man to watch? Even McAuliffe himself is dropping hints. Is that laughter I hear from Republicans saying, yes, yes, bring him on? But I also hear echoes of Democrats laughing at the prospects of running against Donald Trump. I also hear or heard running against Donald Trump in 2016 and Ronald Reagan in 1980. Here are 6 reasons why the GOP should not laugh at Terry McAuliffe's presidential rumblings. Terry McAuliffe is ambitious, wealthy, and power-hungry with nothing to lose. How wealthy is he? I don't know if he's, with Trump we have a new standard of wealthiness, I think. 2, McAuliffe is putting out feelers for his 2020 presidential run. And 3, good news, bad news, McAuliffe is best friends with the Clintons. Is that good news, bad news, or just bad news, bad news? I don't know if really, I think the Clintons may be discredited so much that...
that era may be over.
McAuliffe, it says here, is perceived rightfully so as the son of the Clintons. Certainly Clinton fatigue would be McAuliffe's biggest obstacle, along with his dubious past as a wheeler-dealer businessman. if McAuliffe were to run, he must first establish himself as his own man and as governor of Virginia and chair of the National Governors Association. He's doing exactly that. McAuliffe, number 4, McAuliffe could suck up all the early oxygen from the rest of the 2020 field. Watch the 2017 Virginia gubernatorial race and 2018 midterm elections. Who better times two? So Terry McAuliffe apparently is one of the early favorites, I guess, now for to become the presidential nominee in 2020. He's the governor of Virginia right now. Virginia was actually it was a Republican state for a while. It sort of goes back and
Yep.
forth, but when I
With
was living
Allen,
there,
I think it was a Republican.
it was a Republican state, and I think the Republicans had all the statewide offices. Of course, the problem with Virginia is that more and more people are moving into Northern Virginia,
which is a Democrat.
and
stronghold.
bureaucrats, they want to
jobs.
keep their jobs,
Yeah.
job security and all that. In fact, always the joke around Northern Virginia when I was living there is that when the administrations change, the real estate prices go up because the people in the former administration don't leave. People for the new administration come in, but the former administration, they just get jobs in think tanks or universities and wait for their next opportunity. And so they don't sell their houses. And so demand for housing always goes up in that area. So basically the population continues to increase.
As government increases.
As government
Yeah.
increases. And you have all these people who have a vested interest in large government. And
So
so
with
that
the
is,
coming of Chung-Il-Guk, they better sell now while the real estate value is high.
there you go.
It will plummet.
Let's see what President Trump did yesterday.
You think the Chung-Il-Guk capital will remain in Washington, D.C.?
No,
It will spread out and become a small little headquarters somewhere.
yeah.
Presidential.
Well, because it's a small government, and even the House of Representatives will be so large that it cannot possibly meet in one place, and so it will be
Done by internet.
It will be done online somehow with that kind of a technology. In the Senate too, Senate also with the 2 senators from each state. Of course, we don't know how many states there are going to be. When Chung-Il-Guk comes to cover the world, it would be hundreds, perhaps thousands of states, because even the United States, rather than joining as one state, could join as 50 states or even more states. And then think of because many of the international borders that we have now today in the world were drawn by wars, or simply by, in the case of Africa, a bunch of people sitting around a map and drawing lines arbitrarily. So I think borders will certainly change, and I think states will have a fairly small population, I would expect. So anyway, so the Congress will be very, very large. So I guess by capital, I mean, where will the president be living?
Right.
I guess he'll live in his own house. I don't see a need for a separate house for the president. He can just live in his own house,
So somewhere in Milford.
or
maybe.
the king. Where will the king's palace be? I guess
Right.
that's where that'll be where the capital is. Maybe that we call that the capital. The king's palace, I guess, will be in Northeast Pennsylvania.
The president, he could probably be anywhere with technology advancing the way it is.
We're not getting through as many articles as I had hoped, but President Donald Trump did have lunch with Republican senators yesterday. He was discussing progress on a bill to replace Obamacare, and he used the occasion to highlight the failures of former President Obama's signature health care plan and the obstruction of Democrats. Obamacare has been broken, and it's been a broken promise.
This will be a defining campaign issue in 2018 because people feel the pain every month of Obamacare, and I think the Democrats are pushing for more of it, and Trump wants to eliminate, and I think anybody that aligns themselves with Trump and anti-Obamacare will be help them in their election.
The king was mentioning a situation in his own family yesterday. Remember where one of his children had, I guess, some kind of a toothache or something.
Broken arm, I think.
Broken. That was one of the situations.
Yeah.
But what I was referring to was where his child has a toothache, and they had to take her to a jaw specialist or something, a jawbone specialist first before they could go to the dentist. Which he found to be quite ridiculous, because it was obviously a situation where he would, if it had been up to him, he would have gone straight to the dentist. But no, you got to go to a jaw specialist first. I mean, how else are the jaw specialists going to make their money, right?
Right. What's the purpose for that extra layer is the question.
Yeah. And, of course, the purpose is to pay out more money to more doctors. Well, we didn't get through as many articles as I wanted. We only have an hour and a half on Wednesdays that we do in English. But we are in a situation right now where the world is going through a judgment. I don't know if I can grab a short view of that situation in London ongoing right now. Before we go off, here we're getting some kind of
patients and taken them to 6 hospitals across London, including major trauma centres at King's College and at St Mary's in Paddington.
I don't know if the audio is going through,
Can also confirm
but they're giving a...
patients have
Okay, apparently the audio is not going through. All right, so we won't bother with that then. But please stay tuned for that and pray for those people who are in that tower or have been brought out of that tower and are now facing very difficult situations, either medically or financially. And I'm sure that the effects of this is very far-reaching. And as I said, I'm very curious to know the cause of this. Right now, there have been a number of terrorist incidents in London, and I'm just wondering if this somehow might be related to something like that. I don't know. There's no report yet of that kind of thing, but London does seem to be a good place for us to stay away from for the time being during this Ramadan. We still have about 10 days left in Ramadan, so please be careful. Don't let the terrorists run up their body count. That's what they're trying to do. So stay safe, God bless, Godspeed, and may His kingdom come.
Jew.